Under Ayao Komatsu's leadership, Haas have hit a brilliant run of form this season. Nico Hulkenberg in particular has shone with an average Grand Prix finishing position of 10.18. Sadly for Haas, Hulkenberg is leaving at the end of this year to join Sauber, and his teammate Kevin Magnussen has not been able to match the standards set by Nico. K-Mag's place in the Haas seat and Formula One itself has been a massive question mark this season, but now we know what his fate will be. Today, I'll cover the Haas lineup for 2025, so don't go anywhere. Going into the 2024 F1 season, no one gave Haas a chance. They had finished 2023 dead last in the Constructors' Championship with just 4 points finishes. 3 of those had come in the opening 5 races, and as a result, expectations were as low as can be. That was no new feeling for Haas though, since their surprise 5th place finish in the Constructors' Championship in 2018, just 3 years after they entered F1, they found themselves at the back of the field. A lack of funding was a huge problem that only got worse when the COVID pandemic hit, creating a financial crisis within F1. However, things appear to be changing. Haas have gone from no hopes to heroes, with back-to-back 6th-place finishes for Nico Hulkenberg having thrust Haas towards the front of the midfield battle. They're now locked in a tight fight with VCARB for 6th in the Constructors' Championship. Hulkenberg has been a revelation for the team. It's easy to forget that Nico was billed as the next Michael Schumacher when he broke through into the sport. Ross Brawn has said that if his Mercedes team hadn't convinced Hamilton to switch teams in 2013, then they would have signed Hulkenberg. How different the history of F1 would have been if that had happened. The German driver himself has labelled Haas's performance this season as a hell of a comeback. It isn't as simple as saying that they made a good car and have made the most of it though. When the VF24 hit the track for the first few races of the season, it didn't look that impressive. 10 races in, Haas had only managed a few pity point finishes, and their total haul of 5 points was nothing to be impressed by. SAC team boss Gunther Steiner recently gave the credit for their recent success to the work done under his leadership. The car is quite good this year, he admits, but it was built by the people who worked there last year. That includes Simone Resta, the old Haas technical director who's off to Mercedes in 2025. However, that statement completely ignores the fact that mid-season updates to the car have made a massive difference to its performance. The key to Haas's improvement in its form has been in the way it's managed to keep up the trajectory of its in-season development program, and that consistent progress has made an impact because it's something that other teams have struggled to deliver. This is a year where updates are now widely being characterized as upgrades or downgrades depending on their success, with the likes of Aston Martin and Ferrari definitely having more down than up. Under Ayao Komatsu's leadership, Haas have become a more tempting prospect for drivers who are out of a seat at the end of the season. Obviously, the empty spaces at Mercedes and maybe even Alpine are far more tempting, and the Sauber seat could be a good one if you have faith in Audi, but Haas are no longer the wooden spoon they once were. With that in mind, Ferrari decided to pull the trigger and push their promising junior driver, Oliver Bearman, into a Haas seat for 2025. The 19-year-old, who impressed in finishing 7th on his F1 debut for Ferrari at this year's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, has signed what Haas calls a multi-year contract. "It's hard to put into words just how much this means for me," said Bearman, who took his first Formula 2 victory of 2024 in Austria after winning 4 races in 2023. "To say out loud that I'll be an F1 driver for Haas makes me so immensely proud. To be one of the very few people who get to do the thing that they dreamed of as a child is something truly incredible." Bearman stood in for Carlos Sainz in Jeddah after the Spaniard was diagnosed with appendicitis. Despite not driving the car until final practice, Sainz had driven on Friday, Bearman qualified 11th and finished 7th in the race. Speaking at Silverstone at the start of the British Grand Prix weekend, Bearman said that he believed his performance in Jeddah had been a major contributor to securing his promotion to F1. "It showed what I was capable of, and that the guys with less experience are not so far behind the normal cohort." He said he had known for a while that he was heading for the Haas seat in 2024, but that it was finally confirmed on Sunday after the Austrian Grand Prix. "It was an emotional moment," he said. "I've been working so hard for this, and the sacrifices I've had to make, I feel like they've paid off." A quick glance at the F2 Drivers' Championship might surprise fans. Bearman currently sits 13th in the 22 Driver Championship with 34 points, a full 25 behind his Prema teammate Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who Mercedes have proclaimed is the successor to Lewis Hamilton. When you consider that Nikita Mazepin, the worst F1 driver in recent memory, finished his one F2 season in 5th, Bearman getting a promotion to F1 while sitting 13th seems a massive mistake. However, that doesn't tell the full story. F2 introduced a new car this season, and the Prema team have completely failed to get the best out of it. The team currently leading the F2 Constructors' Championship, Campos Racing, finished 9th of 11 last year. Second-placed MP Motorsport were 6th, and third-placed Invicta Virtuosi Racing were 5th. So while Bearman is struggling for points finishes this year, the blame can be placed onto the team and the new car more than the driver. Though the fact his teammate has almost twice as many points as him should not be ignored. Bearman will of course need a teammate at Haas for 2025. It is a seat that Kevin Magnussen has been desperate to keep a hold of. That second seat is one that K-Mag has had to prove himself worthy of. However, his head-to-head with teammate Hulkenberg does not make for pretty reading. Hulkenberg has been the first to the checkered flag 10 times out of 11 and has outqualified his teammate 9 times out of 12. That translates to a points lead of 22 points to 5 for Hulkenberg, who picked up points at Miami's sprint race with a 7th place finish and has 5 11th place finishes so far this season as well. Magnussen's stiffest competition for the seat had appeared to be Esteban Ocon. The French driver is without a contract for 2025, as his departure from Alpine has already been confirmed, and speculation has linked Ocon with a vacant Haas cockpit. However, the BBC's Andrew Benson confirmed during his Q&A that the deal has already been done. Answering the question, do you think there'll be any more driver announcements before the summer break as a result of last week's Silverstone testing? Benson said, Esteban Ocon has signed to Haas next season, BBC Sport has been told, and that is expected to be announced imminently, quite possibly in the run-up to this weekend's Hungarian Grand Prix. This comes from well-placed sources close to Haas and Mercedes who manage the Frenchman. It won't be a surprise to K-Mag that he's lost his seat at Haas. He said recently that Komatsu had been very open with him, telling him that the team were talking to other drivers for a potential drive, and apparently Ocon was one of those. For Esteban, it's as good a move as he could have hoped for. While there is still a free seat at Mercedes, he was never in the running for it, something that Mercedes boss Toto Wolff has been very open about. With space at Williams, Sauber and Haas being Ocon's only options, he got the best of a bad bunch based on current form. Alpine announced earlier in the season that Ocon wouldn't get a new contract, so the French driver has had plenty of time to find a drive for 2025. He has been outscored by his teammate 6 points to 3 this season, but has actually taken the checkered flag first 5 times to Pierre Gasly's 4. Ocon has also outqualified his teammate 8 times to 4, though they do have the second smallest qualifying gap of the season, with the average distance in their fastest time being 0.056 seconds in favour of Esteban. In the poorly performing Alpine car, it's been hard to gauge both drivers' performances this season, but if Haas can continue their current trajectory, then Ocon could be getting a huge car upgrade for 2025. So what is the impact of this on the rest of the drivers' market? Well, with both Haas seats now filled, the only spaces left are those at Mercedes, Williams, Sauber and Alpine. VCarb also have a space free, with Daniel Ricciardo yet to be confirmed for 2025, but if he isn't given the seat, then Liam Lawson will definitely get it. Of course, there is also the question of what Red Bull will do with Sergio Perez as well. With Carlos Sainz still not signed up for 2025, some teams may be tempted to continue to wait, but eventually they'll get tired of being played by Sainz and just take the best driver they can get. Maybe Ocon's move to Haas could be the trigger for that to happen. What do you think of Haas's lineup for 2025? And if you want to watch more Haas-related content, then check out our most recent video on the team and their imminent ascent up the F1 leaderboard. Until next time, drive safe and bye for now.